We're back in the Vanarama National League with two competing teams. It's Oldham versus Rochdale here on the channel, and we've got max facilities, max youth rating and all that jazz, as well as a hell of a transfer budget. We've got tycoon takeovers, we've got massive TV deals, billionaire clubs, two competing teams. How will they fare over the course of a 100+ year simulation? Will they rise to the top and dominate world football? Almost certainly. But who's going to win? Let's find out. The international side of things is something that you guys have really taken to in these little verses where we do max youth rating. Well, today I've decided to bring it down to club level and give you a simulation in a similar sort of vein. We've got Oldham versus Rochdale. As you can see here, max youth rating, max facilities and all that jazz. Same for Rochdale. But then if we have a quick look at the club details and the finance as well, for a start, the income. 150 million other income TV deal, whatever you want to call it. It's 150 million per season, so the teams will be getting this, and it's renewing every single season, and it's a fixed value, so it will remain the same regardless. So they're both going to, over the course of a few seasons, really start to rack up and improve and get to the top of the Premier League. We've gone well over 100 years in this simulation. I was meant to be 100 years, but I ended up leaving it overnight and then forgetting in the morning and going about my day, and I think it's gone about 140-ish years. So extra bonus 40 odd years for you. So without further ado, we need to really start cracking on. So in terms of the season preview, the teams are, well, they're expected to be sort of there or thereabouts, but they're not going to have a lot of money coming in this first season. So we're going to go through 1 year and just see, can they do anything? Can they get out of this league? Or will it be in seasons 2, 3, 4 where they really start to kick on? Right, so Oldham finished 3rd and Rochdale finished in 8th. So Rochdale outside the playoffs, Oldham missing out in the playoffs. So in terms of the playoffs, well, let's have a look at the tree. Oldham actually got to the final, losing to York after extra time, after winning in extra time against Bromley. £145 million in the bank for Oldham. Youth facilities have already gone down to 19. Same with Rochdale. Their youth facilities have already gone down to 19. They're at 142 million. 200k spent for them. Oldham have spent less than 10k, so just a few loans and a few free transfers. So not really much to speak of. However, Toyosi Olusanya is on £19,000 a week, which for me feels excessive. So they're already starting to flash their cash. Rochdale are yet to delve into their pockets, only spending only spending £26,000 a week on wages. But Oldham are putting the money where their mouth is. You've got £56 million in the budget and £411,000 spare. Whereas Rochdale, 30 million and only got 30k in the wage budget. So why are they not doing that? Why are they not putting a bit of money where their mouth is? We'll see. Kind of strange, if you ask me. But, you know, season preview, 2nd and 3rd, apparently. Chesterfield are meant to win the league. So is there much going to happen over the next few years? We're going to jump forward now 4 more years. We're going to go to 5 years into the future. It's going to be, I don't know what happened there. We're going to go to 2028. There'll be 5 years into this experiment. The lay of the land. So in that second season, well, Oldham did finish 2nd and Rochdale did finish 3rd, but it was Rochdale that actually won via the playoffs. So if we have a look at the playoffs, and well, it was Rochdale beating Chesterfield in the final. Oldham didn't get there. They lost to Chesterfield. So sad news for Oldham, but unfortunately, they are in the Vanarama National League for another season. And again, so the following year, in 25-26, Oldham still in 5th place, missing out in the playoffs once again, going through against Yeovil on penalties, 1-0 against Fylde, and losing on penalties to Dagenham and Redbridge in the final. That's the second time they've lost in the final, and the third time they've lost in the playoffs. So Oldham are having a bit of bad luck here. And finally, in season 4, they have actually made it out of the league. Once again via the playoffs, this time fortuitous in penalties, beating Woking in the semis and Barnet in the final. So Oldham finally out of the Vanarama National League. And the first season in Rochdale were in League 2, they finished in 9th and then 10th. And then in 27-28, Rochdale have gone up as champions, but Oldham, at the first time of asking, have got themselves into the playoffs, as is customary for them. But this time, instead of losing it 3 or 4 years in a row, they've only gone and bloody won the thing. So they've gone up via the playoffs into League 1. So we are going to be seeing Oldham and Rochdale back in the same division for the first time since about 3 seasons ago. Well, there we go then. So in terms of League 1, if we have a look at the season preview, Rochdale are expected to finish 4th. Oldham expected to finish 5th, so they think they're going to be up there. And as you can see, Sam Richardson is the instinctive goalkeeper in the Media Dream 11 for Rochdale. So let's go and look at Rochdale first of all. Des Buckingham's in charge. They've got £445 million in the bank. And let's have a look at that transfer history, shall we? So go back to the start where we saw they spent £205,000, then 1.6k the following season, then only 8.5k, 22.5k, with 1.8 million going out, 375k. So they're not spending loads. They've not spent a lot in transfer fees at all. Where's all that money going? Well, it's going on wages, isn't it? They've got they've got a lot of players on a lot of money. I mean, where's the worst? I mean, Harvey White. I mean, he's 26. He's never going to reach his potential of 138. He's at 115. That's probably where he's about to stay. He's on £120,000 a week in League 1 now. Was in League 2. Daniel Jebison, who's been at Rochdale for just a season. And he signed for £110,000 a week. So, yeah, there you go then. So the current wage budget is available to them is 2 million, just over 2.1 million. They're currently spending £800,000. So there's about 1.3 million they can still spend. They've got £155 million in the transfer budget to try and strengthen. Will they? Or won't they? In terms of the youth academy, got a few players here that have got a nice little bit of potential. You've got Graham Huntley. I mean, Arman Singh's probably, I mean, he's 15, he's at 63. He's unambitious, so he's never getting anywhere, is he? Old Graham is balanced. What's his balanced personality saying? Probably not going to make it. Probably not going to make it. Under 21s? Yeah, 19 and 20. Not really. I mean, Dan Williams, fairly ambitious. Michael Hill, he's balanced, he's listed. One loyalty. Not a great professionalism. Yeah, so he's not going to do much, is he, really? Oldham, though, on the other hand, they've got 437 million. Nigel Clough in charge, £151 million in their transfer budget. Just over 2.1 million in the wages as well. They're spending about 900k. So spending a shade more than Rochdale, and a squad that is probably equally as shite. Brandon Aguilera, probably no relation to Christina. He's on £140,000 a week. Signed for free from Nottingham Forest. He's played 12 times last season. He's at 120 out of 138 at 25 years old. 140 grand. 4 players over 100k. Then, no one over £36,000. Like, they really do jump down. So, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, some of these players, are getting massively overpaid. I mean, Taylor Harwood Bellis is probably their best player. Is actually not too bad. Gone from Bournemouth to Oldham, £125,000 a week. So he's taken a huge step down. But, it's only the same as all the players going to Saudi Arabia, isn't it? They're going for the bag. There's no under 21s, but there is an under 18s here for Oldham, and they've got Kyle Harrison here, 137. I don't know what I've got leadership on. I do know what I've got leadership on from an experiment bloody a hell of a long time ago. Don't need to be there. Does not need to be there. I mean, you've got Lewis Rhodes here at 21, 90 current ability, 168 potential ability. Fairly determined. TJ McGran, unambitious, never going to make it. Vivaldi Badiashile, 113. Fairly determined. Peter Scott, 116 out of 155. Now, he's on £4,100 a week. He's driven. Now, this is the kind of player that you can bloody get behind. And he's wanted by a lot of Premier League sides. I mean, that tells me everything you need to know. He's not bad ambition, not bad professionalism. 20 determination, 16 work rate. As a player in the sort of defensive midfield / centre midfield role. I mean, he looks pretty decent, especially for this level. Like, you really want to keep hold of him and build your team around Peter Scott. Because not that they need the money, but he's the kind of player that you could really sell on for a nice bit of profit and really sort of kickstart yourself into being able to afford more players. Of course, that affordability is not really an issue in this experiment because they've got £150 million per season coming in. The facilities for Oldham, they've gone down a little bit. The capacity of Boundary Park is at 13,000. I should have checked that at the start. Not sure if it's much more or less at all. But yeah, 18 training facilities, 18 youth facilities. How's Rochdale's doing? They've got a 10k capacity stadium, and they've got the same. Training youth facilities have gone down to 18. So hopefully they'll improve them over time. But at the moment, they're in League 1, and we're going to jump forward now at least 10 years to see us probably get up into the Premier League and see the status quo and things sort of start to move on. So let's go forward to 2038, see how we're getting on there. Right, so the first season we were here in League One, and it was mid-table for the pair of them. The media thought they were going to finish 4th and 5th, I think, if memory serves me correctly. And it was actually 11th and 12th. So not too good. But the following season, Rochdale got into the playoffs but missed out by losing in the playoffs, Oldham finishing in 10th. The following season, though, both teams did find themselves being promoted. Oldham as league champions, Rochdale going up via the playoffs. So that's 2030-31, and now we're off to the championship. And the first season there, well, Oldham have come straight back down despite being champions, and Rochdale have kicked on and gone mid-table. And then Oldham straight again bounced back 32-33, so they're back up in the championship. Oh, and Rochdale, their season where they were alone in the championship, they finished 3rd in the league and they ended up in the playoffs. Let's have a look at the tree. They missed out losing to Birmingham in the semi-finals. Southampton ended up going up via the playoffs. So yeah, there you go. 32-33 then. So 33-34, and Oldham have got relegated again. So they're yo-yoing from League One to the Championship. Rochdale, who finished 3rd, are now down in 16th, which is pretty shit, isn't it, really? Rochdale now in 11th. And then Oldham, they have come back up in 35-36. Oldham once again, yeah, yo-yoing again. 106 points. They're far too good for League One, just not good enough for the Championship. So I'm a bit disappointed, really. I mean, what's they going to do in 35-36? Rochdale are 15th. Oldham have actually been promoted via the playoffs. Of course they have. Right, so Oldham are now in the Premier League. Rochdale again 14th, and then again 14th. So they're consistent. Oldham have won the league this time, so they've obviously come back down. Rochdale now 23rd. Oh, so this is the current season. So yeah, we're up to the present day. So Oldham finished 19th in the season where they came down. Actually came down with Brighton and Everton. Champions League for Fulham from 14th. The Premier League, well, the status quo has certainly changed. It only took 3 years for Newcastle to win the Premier League, ahead of Liverpool. Man City down in 3rd. Man City then win another couple. Arsenal with 4 in a row. Then it's Newcastle, Chelsea, Tottenham, Chelsea, Tottenham. Vincent Kompany's in charge of Tottenham, so of course they're doing well. Sergio Conceição at Chelsea. Newcastle have got Mikel Arteta. It was Thomas Tuchel who actually won the Premier Division, though. Didier Deschamps has done pretty well for them as well. It was Mikel Arteta who was really dominant for Arsenal when he won loads of league titles. So Mikel Arteta's doing very well as a manager. So Oldham are in the Premier League. The season preview is saying that they're going to finish 18th. The media do think they're going to go down. And the season preview in the Championship, they think Rochdale are going to finish in 9th. So let's have a look at Rochdale first of all. Inigo Calderon is in charge. Any managers that we can see that we sort of know their name? Graham Potter was there for 4 years and he left to go and become the manager of Aston Villa, and then he's now gone to Porto. But Des Buckingham got sacked. Joe Ledley's been there as a caretaker. Let's hide him as caretaker. We've had Graham Potter, Paul Warne, Michelle, Scott McKenna, Alex Fisher, and now Inigo Calderon, who's been there nearly 2 years. You got just over £500 million in the bank, £527 million. They've got 170 million in the budget. Current wage budget of 5.12 million, spending nearly £3 million. In terms of transfers, well, he spent $500,000 there, 26.5 million here, so they've actually started to spend a little bit of money. 52 million here in the 31-32 season, then 59 million, recouping 23.5 though. Then they spent 25 million, then 90, basically breaking even this season here, just spending 19.5. Then spending 38.5. Then 67, 23, and there we are at present day. Let's have a quick look at the squad then. And in terms of wages, well, they've got a few players over £200,000 a week, which is, well, ridiculously excessive, isn't it, really? But they're not horrific players. They are the better players in the squad that are on those wages, so you can kind of allow it. The under-18s, well, they've got, look at this, Geraint Jones. 168 potential ability, 93 current ability. He is spirited. He's 17. He's definitely got all the makings of being able to make that 168 potential. But unfortunately, he is really the only one that is sort of standing out of everyone. Everyone else is in the 120s, 130s at best. 120s, under 21s then. We've got Alex Alexander. Really? 21 years old. He's a model citizen. So he needs game time. He needs game time because he will make 146 if you give him the game time. Even though he's only even though he's already 21, he will make up those 28 attribute points. Get him up into the squad. He's versatile. He's a model citizen. He could be at the club for years to come. He's actually not come through the youth academy either. He's been signed from Arsenal for £500,000. Oldham then have actually spent a lot less because they've got £741 million in the bank. They're spending more on wages at £3 million. They've only got a season budget of £55 million. Now, the capacity of the stadium is up at 20,500. So they have improved the stadium. The facilities are slowly depreciating still. Look at the senior squad then. Well, in terms of wages, they do have a few players over £200,000. Again, it is some of the better players. They've got a lot of players over £100,000 as well. In terms of the under 21s, no one's really coming through at Oldham, which is very disappointing, really, isn't it? Very disappointing. Well, we are stranded in this yo-yoing between leagues at the moment. Rochdale are currently stuck in the Championship. Well, by the time we come back, they should both be very well-established Premier League clubs because we've got so long to get through. I think we are going to have to do some really meaty jumps at this juncture. So we're going to jump forward now 25 more years. We're going to go to 2063. See how things are getting on there. Okay, I'm at present day and Rochdale are 6th in the Championship. So without going back and looking at every single league season, how have they been doing? So when we were last here, we were here in 2038, wasn't it? Yeah. So they actually went up the following season to the Premier League. Only spent 1 season there, then 4 seasons back in the Championship, then promoted again, straight back down, then 5 years. Then they spent 7 years in the Premier League, never finishing really anywhere too clear of the relegation zone. The best season was 14th. Back down to the Championship, then straight back up for 3 years, then back down. They finished mid-table last season, and then they got into the playoffs most recently. Unfortunately, missing out completely. Only winning League 2 as a trophy so far, so they've done nothing. They've got max facilities again, £500 million in the bank, spending £5 million a week on wages, and they've got some, oh my God, they've got some huge wages on the books. Francesco Lococo is on £350,000 a week. Now, of course, we were always expecting this, but it never, ever hurts any less. I mean, this player, Rida Aidair, 152 out of 173. He's 28, so he's not going to hit that 173, which is unfortunate. But at least he is in the 150s. So, does he command £275,000 a week? No. But he commands the fact that he's second most highest earning player. The under 18s then, no one really to speak of in the under 18s. The under 21s, Jack Simpson, fairly determined player. Again, not come through the youth academy, signed. So, and then 2038, 39. So yeah, they're spending big money here, 110 million. Rochdale spending pretty big every single season. Oh, yes, they are. Spending huge. Over 100 million a couple of these seasons. Look at that, 284 million here in 52-53. That's probably when they're up in the Premier League. 236 million there, jeez. Yeah, then they obviously got relegated and they just also sold 163 million pounds worth of players. Yeah. Look at that, 185 million to over to 81 million. And then again, relegated clearly, £20 million in, £155 million out. Sort of players wanting to leave post-relegation. But there you go then. They're in the Championship. Rochdale have £500 million in the bank. Oldham then, finishing 3rd in the Premier League. Well, how about that then? Dan Neal's in charge. And in terms of the Premier League then, well, as you can see here, they've been yo-yoing about a bit, up and down, winning the Championship on a couple of occasions, I think. Winning the Championship on a couple of occasions. And since the 2049 Championship win, they've been in the Premier League every single season. And they've actually been in the Champions League a few times as well. Winning Europa League here in 2058-59. Go on, lads. And then in 2060-61, Oldham have actually won a Champions League, beating Real Madrid in the final. Ryan Mason's now in charge of Tottenham, who have 11 Premier League titles to their name. Fulham have won one in 49-50. Chelsea have been very dominant. Very, very dominant. But Oldham doing very well indeed. So let's have a look at Oldham then. They've got £351 million in the bank, so they're not actually doing as well financially. They are spending £5.26 million a week on wages. Let's have a look at some of those players then. 400k a week, but on Jordan Windsor on a 179 current and potential ability. Now, he's come through the youth academy, so he has come from the youth academy, so he didn't cost them anything to buy in, and he's their best player, and he's fantastic as well. You've got quite a few players in the 150s and 160s who are all on quite high wages, but you've got to pay those wages when you're in the Premier League, especially if you've got as much money as Oldham have. I think we actually looked at the transfers for Oldham, so let's go back to the 20s. Now, they did spend big here in 31-32, £47 million and £112 million there. I mean, you can almost see the seasons where they've gone up into the Premier League, and I mean, this one looks like a season of relegation. £27 million spent, £106 million sold. This looks like back up in the Premier League here. £93 million spent, just to £5 million sold. And again, just going through, I mean, they don't look like they're spending as much as Rochdale, to be fair. They've not spent over £200 million, and they've not really gone over £100 million that often. I mean, I've just stopped here on £166 million 10 years ago. But a lot of the time, I mean, there we go, £235 million. That's the first time we've really seen it. But there you go. But they are recouping. They're not a million miles away. I mean, this one's £90 million. Again, just over £100 million spent more. But this one here, 112 spent, 86 brought in. So they are doing pretty well. I mean, they spent 114, they bought 127 in. That was the most recent season. And they sold him to Leeds, I'll be honest with you, for £60 million. Not a terrible sale. I'm happy with that one. So anyway, so as it stands at the moment, Oldham have won a Europa League. They've won a Champions League. Is that a Carabao Cup, I smell? It certainly is. They won that in 2057-58. They also came runner-up in the 60-61 season. No FA Cups, but 2 runner-ups for Oldham. Well, Rochdale were runner-up in the FA Cup back here in 35-36. So Oldham have taken that early lead. They've got a Europa League, a Champions League, and an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup to their name. Whereas Rochdale are still in the Championship. We are in 2063. There's a long way still to go in this experiment. So we're going to go through now. I'm going to jump now 50 years to 2113. So we're looking here at Rochdale then, and we were last here in the 2063. And that season, they did get promoted out of the Championship, finishing third, going up via the playoffs. And they've been here ever since. And as you can see, the most recent season shows Oldham in second on 78 points, Rochdale in fourth on 75 points. Well, Liverpool have won the league. They got a point on the final day of the season. Had they lost that game, they would have actually lost the league to Oldham on goal difference. Peterborough and Preston also getting relegated here. So let's have a look at the status quo. Let's have a look. Is anyone unusual here? I mean, Arsenal are down here in mid-table. There's quite a few teams. I can't see Man City. Newcastle are there finishing fourth in the Championship. Man City are here finishing 13th. Man City are in the Championship. And anyway, so let's take a look down the Premier League and see who's been doing what. Well, as you can see, Rochdale have actually got a Premier League winners medal here just the other season. But Oldham have got one back here in 20. So let's go back. So we were last here in the 60s, and Oldham was starting to finish third, as we started to see. And then they started to break into finishing second. Watford are up here for some reason. Then in 83-84, Oldham won the league. The season before, Luton won the league. Look at that for a top three. Luton, Watford, Derby. Oldham then again runners up a couple of times. Then they've won again and again and again, but all around Watford. Then Tottenham went on a bit of a spree. Then Chelsea, Oldham again, and then Rochdale. So Rochdale have got one Premier League. They've got 4 FA Cups though. And the current FA Cup holders, to be fair. 5 Europa Leagues, 3 Europa Conference Leagues. Well, Rochdale are really doing something in Europe, aren't they? And 2 Carabao Cups. Oldham, on the other hand, well, they'd already got a Champions League last time, and this time we've come back 50 years on, and they've got 5 more league. They've got 5 league titles, and they've got 5 more Champions Leagues. 6 FA Cups, 3 Europa Leagues, and 8 Carabao Cups. So they're doing pretty well. £244 million in the bank, spending £4.5 million a week. They are paying probably the going rate now for some of these players, about £300,000 a week for quite a few of them. I mean, this guy, Bradley Hutchin, is on 150k a week. He is not worth that, is he? Arsenal want him. Not sure why. I'm sure Oldham wouldn't mind getting him off the wage bill. And so if we just go back and look at the total transfer spending, they've really, really upped their game of Oldham in the last 50 years. So since we were last here in the 60s, we saw them just spend over 200 million for like the first time or something. 251 down here. And as we scroll up, is that the best? We've got over 200 million, 3 seasons in a row here, multiple times. Always spending over 100 million. A couple of seasons here where they didn't. Oh yeah, there as well, 40 million. But they've spent well over 100 million, sometimes over 200 million in a hell of a lot of seasons. Rochdale, well, again, as we said last time, they're spending more than Oldham. And I think that rings true because I'm looking here and I'm seeing over 200 million a few times, over 100 million, 378 million here in the 2070s. A couple of seasons where they spent a bit less. I mean, still 79 and 167. Then a 319, then a 287. A 433. They spent nearly £500 million here in the 82-83 season. The season before that, 300 million. Any advance on 400 and whatever it was? Where is it? 433. Got a 369 there, 378, a 390. Jesus Christ, these last few seasons. Let's have a quick look. So they actually spent 206 here and bought in 242. When they spent 362 here, they actually bought 327 million pounds back into the club. So that's fair. You're bringing the money in, you're shipping it straight back out. And here they actually made a profit. So this is the thing. They're actually, where I'm actually saying they're spending a hell of a lot, they're probably bringing in just as much. I mean, not in that case. What was it? Was it the 60s? No, it was 82, 83. Yeah, I mean, 81, 82, they actually brought in £356 million worth of players. And the following season, where they spent 438, they actually brought in 243 as well. So they brought in more than they spent the season previously. They had probably a lot of residual transfer budget, and they had to replenish, really, their squad. And then they did again. They sold a lot of players, so they had to bring more players in. And that's exactly what they did. But Oldham at this juncture are winning the experiment. Both teams are up there and thereabouts, but of course it is going to be the end of the experiment where we decide who has won this experiment. But up to this point, it is Oldham. So we're going to go through to the end now, because I've had a little cheeky look at what the final save file name was, and it's 2073. So we're talking 150 years, you lucky lot. Let's go to it. 2176. I apologise. I got it wrong. I said 73. Yeah, it's 153 years, this experiment. Simulating for nearly 20 hours, 19 hours, 13 minutes. Can you believe that? Well, in terms of the Premier Division, as you can see here, Rochdale have currently won the league, Oldham in 4th, and Rochdale have won their last 5 Premier Division titles. And it does seem like Rochdale are winning more than Oldham. A hell of a lot more than Oldham. Oh, they have. I think Rochdale might have this. They've won more Premier Leagues. I've gone back and counted 7 Premier Leagues for Oldham, 23 for Rochdale. Look at Leeds with an era of domination. We're going to go to Champions Leagues, because Oldham were on 6 and Rochdale were on none. So the current holders are Oldham, and they've won the last 2. They were on about 6 up to this point. Oldham again. Rochdale with a storming back. They've got 5 now out of nowhere. 6. It's probably drawing at this point. Another couple for Oldham though. Rochdale, and Oldham with 3 in the last 4. 2 runners up for Rochdale in the last 3 years. So Oldham have got 12 Champions Leagues and 7 Premier Leagues. Rochdale have got 5 less Champions Leagues, but 16 more Premier Leagues. That means Rochdale have won, right? 12 FA Cups and 9 Europa Leagues. 12 FA Cups and 6 Europa Leagues. So I'm saying they've got it. 16 Carabao Cups for Oldham. What's Rochdale saying? 18. Wow. I think they've done it, haven't they? 3 Conference Leagues. Let's have a look at, have Oldham won a Conference League? 1. Hey, it's Rochdale, isn't it? It's Rochdale. Still got £500 million in the bank. Oldham, their best players. Let's have a look at the best players. I mean, there you go. Kota Hasegawa, Resolute, 155, 188 potential ability. He's easily got what it takes to get there. Vernon Pete at 172 on £550,000 a week. That is insane. Let's have a look at the records. Total transfer spending. Well, yeah, 300 odd million there. Over 300 there. Yeah, over 468. We're going to get £500 million season transfer spend for anyone. Not for Oldham. Not for Oldham. What about Rochdale? Look at the squad first. Oh, George Charles, 190, star player, Resolute. Came through the youth academy. He's only on £850,000 a week. 600k a week for Emilian Jimenez, 175, not a bad player. £500,000 a week for Devesa and Robin Nilsson. So Rochdale are actually in debt, £5 million in the hole. They're spending £8.3 million a week on wages, actually £390,000 over budget. You've got a season transfer budget of £339 million as well. So in terms of the records then, we're back here, and there we go, 543 million in the 21-16-17 season, over £500 million spent. Can we see it again? 405 there, but we're not seeing much else. No, nothing. I mean, 19.75 there, very muted transfer window. But Rochdale have won this experiment. Yeah, I think I do enjoy doing these. I do enjoy seeing the status quo. Maybe I should do it shorter sims. I think maybe we should focus in a bit more on some of the leagues. I think by going so far into the future, you sort of get lost in the ether of it all. It just becomes a little bit of white noise, really, at the end of the day. Maybe we'll revisit and do some other variations with some rival teams with some funds and all that kind of stuff. But much shorter simulations. Maybe give them some boosts along the way. Maybe with like a wonder kid here or spin a wheel, maybe forfeit or boost. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Any ideas you got for some of these to sort of add a little bit of spice to it? Like maybe we have 5 things that are good and 5 things that are bad, and we spin a wheel, and every 5 years something happens to them, like £1 billion debt or all that kind of stuff. Whatever. But other than that, that's the end of today's experiment. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, do drop a like on it. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. But other than that, take good care of yourselves, gang. I'll see you soon.